Welcome back to another episode of the Strongman Winner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Canby, and this is episode 79 with my boy, Justin Loy of the USA. Justin is the former Strongman Corporation national winner from 2020 and has podiumed at America's Strongest Man 105 and World's Strongest Man 105, but now sets his sights on the top prize of the official Strongman Games. So let's sit down with Justin. Let's catch up since his last appearance on the show and talk all things Strongman, nutrition, and his prep for the World's Strongest Man 105 kilo, as he's one of my favorites for the podium on today's episode of the Strongman Winner Circle podcast with your boy, Justin Loy, in person. And for the record, appearance amount of 5 on the Strongman Winner Circle podcast. This episode is brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports.com. And if you join the episodes, consider being a member, supporting the show, and getting access to exclusive videos. Lately, I've been uploading a lot of my seminar footage, so check that out on the Can We Do channel. And without further ado, here is Justin Loy on today's episode of the Strongman Winner Circle podcast. For the 5th time, he's coming on the show. And we are live. Hello, Justin.
Hello, Nick.
Good to see you. This is my first live podcast, and I'm having Justin Loy on the podcast for the 5th time. We just finished up a beautiful seminar today where everybody learned about the press at Win the Show. Justin, what do you think about the seminar?
I thought it was really good. I think you do a really good job presenting it, teaching people stuff. I obviously didn't take anything from it because my pressing's really good.
There's no big takeaways that you would take going forward?
Yeah, I need to fix my dip and dry for my log before OSG. Right. Is what I took away from that.
What was your favorite slide? I do a 75-minute presentation.
I liked all the ones at the beginnings with like headshots of you.
All right.
Doing different. Yeah.
So you enjoyed a lot of stuff about me. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So we're heading into OSG now. So OSG, Justin's one of my favorites. I had Alex Soak up recently, who's been on a tear. He's won every competition he's competed in. Of course, he did the Shaw instead of the ASM. So him and Justin haven't been able to compete against each other. But again, Justin is, besides Justin and Nicholas Hine, they are the returning place winners. So Justin took 3rd back in 2021. Hine took 3rd back in 2022. So I would think that Hine might potentially be up there. But how are we feeling for OSG this year?
Feeling pretty good. I don't know, obviously, everybody going in wants to win or podium, do well, whatever. I don't really have any expectations, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I just want to go do well.
What you're capable of?
Yes.
So this is going to be your 4th OSG, correct?
Correct.
And you did, the first year was 2019, where you did 90 kilo, and then
I didn't make it.
What?
I didn't make it.
So you're 105/19.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be your 4th 105.
4th 105.
All right. And then you did 2021, 2022. We missed out on last year, and you're coming back for a fourth time around.
Yep.
All right. So this time around, 7 events. So I was talking with Alec on the last podcast because we were talking about the events, and there's actually a pretty broad range of events testing all different facets. So you have the overhead press, you have a deadlift, you have the heavy yoke, you have the moving medley, where we, of course, the sandbag pickups into a push. Then you got kind of somewhat of a grip event in terms of wrecking ball hold for the finals, sandbag throw, and then the stones. So it does test every different facet. Strongman, do you think that's a good representation of who's the strongest in the world?
I think it covers a wide variety. So I think whoever wins, it'll really show, the most well-rounded person.
Oh yeah. So how do you feel because I feel like there's a little bit of a vacuum because we don't have the returning champion in Dan Hughes. We don't have the returning vice champion in Emmanuel Pasquari, and then we don't have the 3rd place winner in Jeffrey Lee, who on a previous podcast has mentioned that he has desires to move up to heavyweight. So he's shooting for OSG next year in the Open. But you think a lot of guys are looking out to really kind of prove themselves?
Yeah, I think so. I think it leaves it pretty wide open. Because just off the top of my head, thinking of who I could see in the top 10, really it could be any of those guys that could take it.
Do you think? I was narrowing it down. So we looked at a couple of lists the other day. We'll bring it up. It's hard for us to read on my laptop. So sorry to lie, you guys, but we have about 41 competitors. Luke Davies just joined the mix. So if you guys for taking a look, it's a pretty good list. So you have 3 great deadlifters and like someone like Josh King, someone like Stephen Bradley, and then the former record holder in Matt McKeegan. Then you got some like overhead specialists like someone like Nicholas Hine. You mentioning any big other overhead guys?
McQuiston's pretty good.
Yeah, McQuiston is a great overhead. Alec has a great Viper. It'd be interesting if Alec goes all Vipers for that.
Johnny's Preston's pretty good.
Oh yeah, Johnny Lime. Of course, he had a 360 log at ASM, so of course he's gonna be one to look out for. But for the most part, like you've done. Who is it?
No, I was just mumbling to myself. Go ahead.
Right. But you've been in this situation where you've made the finals twice already. Like, what does it take to compete at OSG? Because I feel like it's one of the most. Now this year is a little different because I'll go to the different banners. Oh, mixing everything up. So there's actually going to be heat. So the guys don't have to stay there all day. It's going to be pretty much come in the afternoon. I personally like competing in the evening myself, but so of course this is this is day 2, of course, the first day. So you don't have to be there all day, but usually just you have the best people of every weight class, all the best masters. This year you're going to have anybody that's looking to be a great teen athlete. But for instance, does the pressure get to you?
Not really. It used to, and I think I just competed enough at the amateur level and stuff that I finally just got out. I definitely get a little nervous before the first event, but I feel like I stay pretty calm, almost too calm.
So what do you do?
I just don't think about it.
Listen to music?
No, I just don't think about competing.
You just think about what's later?
What do we got?
We have Mr. Joseph Tower. He's a regular. Hello, Joseph. Thanks for tuning in. What did you miss? You didn't miss much. We are going over a little OSG. We just had to finish a great seminar over at BG Strength, the home of Justin Loy and Tyler Young, the strongest gym in Kentucky, or soon to be the strongest gym in Kentucky.
Soon to be on the way.
On the way. They're brand new, so you guys are going to learn about them even more. But for the most part, it's just going back into just the vigorous, because I always thought you have a lot of eyes on you. You have guys like Colin, Bryce, and Darren. They of course, the owners of OSG, the owners of Giants Live, right? So I feel like there's a lot of just anticipation, and usually whoever wins usually gets put up on a pedestal for a whole year going after.
Right. Well, first, I think this year is going to be a little different. Obviously, with how they're breaking it up in day 1 and day 2 up into the groups, right? So it is going to show who manages their time best around competing. Because before we'd be there all day long, which is exhausting. But now you're not going to have that. So you're going to have you're going to show up, do your group stuff, and then you're going to leave. So who's going to take it seriously before and after competing, and who's going to go sightseeing, go play games, and do stuff. So
is there much sightseeing to do in Madison? Of course, it's go to the Capitol building, but I feel like Sunday
might be playing in the snow.
Sunday is going to be the grueling day. That
Sunday,
day,
that's going to be
you're going to be there all day because you have, let's say 9:45, the women start. The guys will probably go on at 11 o'clock, and then you'll probably be doing your stones close to 5 o'clock, 5:30.
Or late.
Yeah, so I think
we haven't had 3 events in the finals.
Yeah, so you're gonna be all day. I think Sunday is going to be that mentally challenged day.
Yeah.
Now, in order to get your mind right, you think just competing off. Well, how many competitions have you done at this point?
I don't know.
I
don't
Over 20?
Track. No, it hasn't been that many. Around 15, maybe less.
15. Okay, all right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I get more worked up about training than I do competing.
All right.
Just because historically, my training doesn't always go super great. So if my training's going bad, I get my head more about competing or training than I do competing. Because once I'm there, there's not you can only do the best you can. And if you screw up, like that's it. Or if you do, you win that event, it's cool. Like, oh, cool, I won. And then you just move on to the next event. Same as if you do really bad on an event, there's those people that it gets in their head and it screws them the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can just like, oh, that's over. I sucked, go on, let's do better at the next one.
Sure.
And that's kind of how I look at it. Like, obviously I'm going to try to do the best I can. And however that goes, it is what it is. And then we move on to the next event.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, how are you feeling after America's Strongest Man? Because you had a great performance, taking third. At one point, you were leading the pack. Do you feel like you're carrying some momentum heading into OSG?
I don't know. I will say because I did the OSG qualifier, and then 2-3 weeks later I did.
Oh yes,
ASM. Yeah.
And that you did the Southwest.
I did the Midwest. And I think I should have managed my prep a little bit better, going into those, because I think I pushed a little bit too hard on both, because I switched my training to mainly ASM stuff.
Okay.
Leading up to the Midwest qualifier. But I think I was pushing a little bit too hard, because then after the OSG qualifier, I only trained 2, maybe 3 days in that 2-3 weeks span.
But you're still overall peaked for the contest.
Yeah, but I was but I wish I would have managed it a little bit different, so I didn't just come back and be like, oh wow, I don't want to do anything. And I've been working on my bags, so we'll see if that goes better.
Sure.
For the speed.
Because when we competed together, you were probably roughly in the mid pack on the same bags. Is that
yeah,
fifth?
I got it. I didn't get them all. We didn't get them all.
We didn't get them all, but I think you still, because only one person finished all the bags, and I think that was Chad Currian. And then but he's still a fast 4. I think you end up getting the 5th bag.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was still pretty good points.
Yeah.
So I think the guys that took 2nd, 3rd, and 4th got a fast 5 bags. Do you anticipate finishing them this time?
I think I'm not worried about finishing them. More of just the speed, because I have a really bad habit of throwing and watching the bag cross the plane, and then I move, and watching somebody like Alamano or even Johnny Waz. Alimo. Yeah. I always say it wrong. Forgive me.
Sorry, Johnny.
But even Johnny Waz, I was always super impressed watching him throw bags, because he's so fast and hardly sets for throwing them. And I guess I just never worked on it enough. And I feel in the past, couple months, that's been not couple months, however long it's been, has been a big focus of mine, of just getting faster with bags and not watching it. And I don't know, I got a compliment from Terry finally. So I would say that it's they're getting faster.
Now, how long have you worked with Terry?
I started working with him after ASM. And just because I just needed structure, and I needed somebody to hold me accountable for training, because I don't mind training myself and doing stuff, but I knew that with the gym and other stuff going on, I felt like I was going to get lazy with my training.
Sure.
And if somebody's telling me to do it, I'm going to be a lot better about doing it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think in terms of the bag throwers in the group. So Johnny had a great throw coming into an ASM, and that gave him a lot of points in there to get him over the hump. But of course, he struggled on the farmers, but that was more of kind of like a oblique cramp, right? Yeah. So I don't anticipate. I think still Johnny is going to be up there. It's something to look out for. But I feel like we were just looking at the list. There's probably almost 15 or potentially almost 20 guys that could all be fighting for the finals.
For sure.
And then I would say, let's see, we have a lot of returners. So you have someone like Matthew McKeegan, who's made the finals 3 years in a row. Of course, Hines made the finals 2 years. SoCup has made the finals 2 years. You have made the finals in 2 years. So I feel like there's just going to be a lot of guys that think they're going to be a shoo-in going to the finals. Let's go into Joseph's comments. So do you feel any pressure to perform this year, Justin? And if so, how do you cope with it? So we talked a little bit, just passed by.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to do, so I guess a brief backup. A few years ago, I tore my groin, and then I never fully addressed it because it wasn't limiting me.
Where did you tear your groin? Was it Clash?
No, it was leading up to Clash.
Okay.
And then through not addressing that, it cascaded. And since then I've had problems with my hip, which has limited, made my deadlifts really fucking suck. But then like any picking or like moving stuff, it kind of messed with me. So, getting that addressed, like fully getting that addressed and getting back to competing at what I feel like I'm back to close to, what I can do. My goal for this year was really just to come in and do the best I can do. No matter of placing, I just want to be, satisfied with how I do and not lose because I did, or, not place worse because I couldn't do an event. Like, ASM 23,
Yes.
I couldn't do the Ukraine deadlift because of my hip.
Well, it was the Ukrainian deadlift. It wasn't in Ukraine.
The Ukrainian, you know what I meant.
Did you zero it?
I got the first one.
Okay.
Barely.
Okay, all right.
But I placed last on it.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
And then you finished tied for 5th in the competition, tied for 4th?
Tied for 4th.
So that would probably give you a few more points. So
Yeah.
you're going to go for the Trump deadlift this year, right?
Of course.
All right.
I'm prepping to zero it.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like a 760 axle for the guys. 750 axle for the guys. That's pretty heavy axle.
Pretty heavy. And yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are getting a lot of reps on it. I haven't touched it yet. The most I've done, I don't even know if I've done 700 yet. I don't know.
But for a grueling competition like OSG, I feel like it's really good to it's a big thing to manage your fatigue. I think if you come in too fatigued, you're not going to perform to the almost level as you can. You're almost carrying some of those tightness, those imbalances into the actual competition, and it makes you really tight. No, Joseph's a big fan.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph.
Wrong thumb. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph.
I keep pointing the wrong way.
He's going to do great. So let's just say, so you were just mentioning, so you want to do as best you can. So let's say you like PR'd on all 7 events and you still didn't win.
Yeah, I'd be good with it.
You'd be good with that. And that's in the end, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Just do the best of your possibility. But I think just for someone like self, you've won Strongman Corporation Nationals. You've placed at ASM. You've placed at World Strongest Man 105. There's not many people that have podium at both those competitions. So I think it's just time for that big pro win. I think you're ready.
We'll see.
Now, you originally started Strongman in 2017?
2018. Yeah.
Out in Alaska?
In Alaska, yeah.
Now, this is a six-year journey right now. It's coming to fruition. I would say, of course, your buddy Dan won last year. And you guys started at the same time, right?
We did.
So 5 years in. So I say it usually takes about 6 years to get to that piece. But I think it's a lot of times you got to make your dues. You got to be at those top competitions. And I didn't personally win OSG until my 4th time around. So this is Justin's 4th time around. It's also like McKeegan's. There's a lot of guys that have been there. They smelt it. They really wanted to win it. But how many guys, I'm trying to think of, is there out of the last OSG winners? So when we're talking about OSG, I guess you can kind of include Marcin because that was Giants Live OSG when we were all together in Ireland. But from 2016 to 2023, there's never been a guy that won OSG in their first year. From my maybe Clayton in 2017.
Yeah.
Potentially might be the first one, but that was the first time we were all like grouped together. But since then, because Tony or Anthony Furman won in 2018 and 2019, but he also competed in 2017. And then I won in 2021, but I already competed 3 times before.
Right. Dan
already was in 105 at least the year before when he took 2nd. So there's never been someone that has entered OSG in the recent years. It came out. So it really is important to smell a competition, get a sense of it, and of course go after it.
Yeah. And it's a different competition because, most competitions, it's a smaller group. It's only a couple days, except for like nationals or something. But most competitions everybody does are, only a couple days. There's not as many people and, it's a little easier to manage. But here there's you have a big handful of the top level people and you're competing over 3 days with a lot of downtime, which can be mentally and physically fatiguing.
Are you a big proponent of ice baths in between the days?
I do like ice baths.
Yeah.
Actually, I think 22. Yeah, 22 was the last time I competed. I think that's what got us through, because I remember me and Dan and Mike O'Connor went, I don't remember which events it was between.
The hurricane year.
Yeah, the hurricane year. We did an event and we went and did ice baths, and then we came back because we had like 6 hours to wait. And I felt so much better going in that next event.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about doing it. I did ice baths even last year when I did the Open. I did it after the competing, but I didn't think about doing it in between. I usually don't like to leave the piece, but take a little break from OSG. Advice for making the Army fitness team for Strongman?
They're doing tryouts right now.
First, be in the Army.
Be in the Army. Talk to Vince. Blow up Vince's Instagram and tell him you want to be on the team. But really, I think they're doing tryouts sometime.
What do tryouts look like?
I don't know. I didn't do tryouts.
No.
No, I just talked to, because I didn't know, because when they started the team,
Justin was one of the founding members of the team.
They had out like tryouts, but I didn't know, like, it was kind of vague on what it was. And then I saw Anthony was there, and then I saw that they were doing tryouts, and I had a buddy that went, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't get to go to this. So I messaged him on Instagram, and I was like, hey, I compete in Strongman. I didn't understand like the whole tryout thing. And then I sent him a bunch of videos, and he's like, cool, I'm going to put you on the team ahead of these guys because they suck. Granted, I wasn't that good either, but I was better.
But you proved yourself. You brought home a national title, and I feel like a lot of the Army fitness guys end up winning a national title. Like you, Dan, of course, you had Vince this year. Yeah. We had Pat last year taking second. He took second,
but he did take second. So that was from 20 until this year. There's been four Army fitness team winners and a fifth, including Pat, for the podium.
That's wild.
Because Pruitt won in
Pruitt
won in 22, and he was an at-large member.
Pruitt is competing this year too.
He is.
So he's making a return after many years of, or of course, I don't think he's competed all year. Is that?
He did the qualifier with me.
Oh, all right. Did you beat him?
Yeah, I won.
Oh, no, that's right.
Yeah.
So watch out, Pruitt. he's coming for you again. So for OSG, now, what do you think about some of the other weight classes? It would be pretty interesting because you just had the Rogue Invitational, so you had all the best women there. Of course, Inez won. You think Inez is going to come out and compete at the show?
Is she doing it?
I'm not sure.
She signed up.
We can double check if she signed up, but I don't know. I would think.
If I just won 120 grand, I won it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And of course, Bitcoin is such a huge piece of the prize pool for Rogue.
Open. Who do we got?
So Rebecca, I feel like always does it, but
yeah.
But it would be interesting in terms of all the women this year. The open class, I of course, since I'm open now,
Rebecca Roberts.
I've been keeping my eye on. I talked a little bit about with Alec the other day. There's 4 former World's Strongest Man competitors competing in the open. So that's the first time we ever actually had a World's Strongest Man open competitor actually competing. At OSG, and you have 4 this year. One guy that made the finals in Gabriel Rium. So I think that's going to be pretty wild. I feel like the 90s is going to be super competitive. You have the last 2 champions in terms of Gavin McInerney, and you have Tyler Davis. I'm not sure who was before. Oh, Nikolai Meyer. So you have the last 3 champions. And then, of course, you have Tommy Lavelle coming back in the 80 kilos. And I think in the men's 175, the returning champion, I think it was Chris Scott from Scotland. I want to say so.
Oh yeah, your memory's a lot better at this than mine.
Yeah, so I think there's I feel like even all the other weight classes are going to be pretty busy. What's your plans for after OSG?
Take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. After OSG, I don't have any plans to compete.
All right. What do you have off-season goals?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm between dieting down more and doing some more like, I don't know, more like athletic-y stuff, or the weight I've always wanted to gain and get up to like 280.
280.
Yeah.
Do you have any aspirations to be an open men one day? Because we had one of the podcasts we had Justin. So this is, oh God, I think it might have been one of the group ones from episode in the teens where we had yourself, Dan, and Jordan, and we were talking about who my favorite was in terms of the open, and I feel like you're 6'2", 6'1", 6'1". I feel like you would have a great stature and you could really fill out the frame to become an open guy. I feel like I was talking to Alec. Alec wants to win World's Strongest Man 105 before he ever considers open.
Mm-hmm.
I think Johnny Limo has considered, and he's very big. He's like 6'1", 6'2", very considered open. You have someone like Clayton, who's 6'2", former heavyweight himself, going back into the heavyweight. So I feel usually like the larger stature guys. I'm 5'11", 3/4. No one's who's counting. But of course, I ended up sizing myself out of the 105. So it would be pretty cool. But what do you think? Like you think that's an kind of an inevitable process for you, potentially make them run at the opens, because you're still what, 32?
Yeah, 32.
32. You sure?
I think so.
Yeah.
I stopped keeping track after 30.
But you're only 6 years in. I would say you stay healthy, you could have another 6 years in the sport. Sure. So when do you think you would take a stab at the heavyweights?
I don't know. Doing heavyweight would be fun.
Do you think it really depends on this year at OSG?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know. Like, I don't have any plans to compete afterwards. Like, I'm planning on taking like a long break. I don't know how long that break's going to be, but I really want to focus on like other things for a while. Sure. Like business stuff.
Let's talk about business. How's the nutrition business?
Pretty good.
So Justin is a renowned nutritionist in the strongman space. He coaches a lot of guys that could be at OSG, a lot of guys that done nationals, a lot of guys that done ASM. But what's new? What are the new innovations in the nutrition world?
I just want to, focus on growth more, kind of look at going into a different, just a different area, different field of focus a little bit. More of, I guess like more on the health side of things with like, people with diabetes and medical conditions, stuff like that.
Sure. So ramping up the business. Yeah. But speaking of business, so I took a tour of the BG Strength facility. Awesome place to have it. You guys have a great community. What's your goal for the gym?
So definitely want to keep growing because we're within our first 4 or 5 months. We officially opened in August. So however many months ago that was. But overall goal our lease is up in 2.5 years, and hopefully to be at the point then to build a facility, however many, 6,000, 8,000 square foot, to be able to have, a lot bigger area to do stuff. We want to incorporate.
So you think that the location we were today, that's kind of your starter location?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. We wanted to go bigger, but I don't think that was the smartest move. Sure. Would have been the smartest move to just jump into a 5,000 square foot space.
Absolutely. How many square feet were today?
I think we're like 2,000, 2,500.
Okay. All right.
Something like that.
So
it filled up fast.
Pretty large space.
Yeah. It's nice. We can do moving events inside if we have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was kind of that was mainly what we were looking for on like moving, obviously to have more floor space.
Does Kentucky get cold? So we're in Bowling Green right now, but does it snow here?
Yeah, it'll snow like once a year.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It was like 80 degrees the other day.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was confusing.
It's no Massachusetts. So I'll say that. So looking at the gym, you have a pretty strong base. We have a lot of guys competing in national. I think today, not to take away from any of my other seminars, but I think we had probably some of the strongest seminar attendees or seminar campers ever at the seminar. We had some guys vipering 300 pounds today, and guys getting close in the 280s. We had, of course, we had our friend Bishop who worked up to pretty heavy axles. So I think there's a lot of great potential. Does it seem like Kentucky's like a hotbed for strongman?
I think so.
You and Davey, and then some of the other
Kentucky
locations?
Strength Farm up there.
Yeah.
And then there's Nashville, like 45 minutes away.
Oh, that's true.
And they got
Music City.
You have
Dirk's out there.
Dirk's in the warehouse.
And then you got Evan the T-Rex Singleton. He didn't come to my seminar. What the hell?
Yeah. He was off gallivanting somewhere.
Yeah, he was out at the Rogue Invitational.
Rogue.
Why was it the Rogue Invitational?
Why was it the Rogue?
He could have just hung out with us.
Yeah.
We could have shot guns.
Got the same results.
We could.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the Rogue Invitational,
yeah.
How do you think you would have done?
Oh God.
Stacked up.
I think the Farmers would have been a good event for me. The Farmers vlog.
Mm-hmm.
Max deadlift. I think I would beat Pablo.
Okay.
I think I have an 850 deadlift if I worked into it. So I think that would have matched. If I hit 850, because I hit 815 unsuited on the ladder last year. But if I hit 850, I would have matched close to Tom and Luke Stoltman. But those guys, I don't think that's really their true max because they've been competing all year. They're freaking beat up at this point. So what's the other event? The arm over arm.
They did that like roll the thing and carry the thing and drag the thing.
I think that would potentially have been a good event for me as long as I got my conditioning. But my conditioning has actually been pretty poor as a heavyweight because all I've been focusing on is building up my static strength, and I've been relying on all my old athleticism back in the 105s, but that's slowly disappearing right now. So I do have to incorporate more athleticism. I was talking to Alec, and he has some good suggestions because he's one of the more kind of very super athletic, I would say 105. And it was interesting because he was a former like high school football standout. There was one game where he rushed for 225 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's pretty good. And 2 sacks on the other side of the yeah, that's very impressive. So I would think that so I was talking to him. So he does a lot of sprints. He does a lot of assault bike. He's a big biker in general. Like he likes to use the road bike. Not my favorite in terms of road bike, but the assault bike is pretty cool. But he likes to do like the agility ladders. You do any of those?
I haven't for a long time. I enjoy doing them. I think they're really great for footwork because a lot of people, when you start out doing them, of course, you're like watching your feet. But if you like really practice at it, you can get good at not hitting the rungs and doing all that fancy footwork with not watching, just be looking straight ahead.
But if you had to focus on programming or even work on yourself in terms of building speed and athleticism, what would you do? Sprints? Yep. Yeah, that was my old motto.
Sprints. I actually like to do sled pushes into sprints.
Ooh, all right.
So you do an explosive takeoff with a sled for, short distance, 10, 15 feet, and then dump off and sprint.
I feel that would mimic a lot of, like, for instance, like a carry and then a run back to another implement. Wow, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
You come up with that?
I think so. I mean, I'm sure somebody else did before, but I didn't have it. I've never had anybody program that.
All right.
That, and for some reason I like jump rope.
Jump rope, interesting. I started jump roping again, and my ankles and my heavy weight has really make it really hard. I might. So maybe get the carbon fiber lifters or the carbon fiber Metcons. No, what was it? Carbon fiber what? Shoes from Tears. Yeah. What is it? I need to get it. Let's go over here. What do you track conditioning work like for toe taps, box jumps? Do you do track conditioning work like toe taps and box jumps? So I think he's asking.
Oh,
are you a big box jumper guy?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Dan loves box jumps.
Dan loves box jumps. I like box jumps. I don't do them a lot. I like single leg box jumps. And more of like broad jumps, vertical jumps.
All right.
Stuff like that.
Interesting. But going back to the jump rope, that was like one of my favorites, but I think I see a lot of things, but going back to the box jump, you ever see Tyler Conn do box jumps? He's like close to 300 pounds and he's jumping upwards to like 55, 60 foot boxes. And then today I hit a 380 Viper, but Tyler's known for hitting Vipers up to 200 kilos. So I feel like that's like the standard.
So you need to be able to jump to
60
boxes.
Jumping was my biggest thing. That's where I always kind of missed out.
Do you think everybody should work on athleticism?
I think to a point. I think
maybe not like as a heavyweight, maybe not like making that like a big focus, but it should be worked in a couple 1 or 2 days a week.
I think that's definitely you have to incorporate. I think a nice block. I think I've been missing that in my blocks lately, but I've been just trying to get back into somewhat shape. But I actually been jogging again.
Oh, really?
So I think that's one important pieces. Your mic died.
It died?
Yeah.
Nobody can hear me.
No one can hear you. So let's do this. One moment, guys, for a technical. This is a good time to do a Tsunami Bar ad. Are you ready to shake up your training? Are you ready for your next challenge? Tsunami Bar Sports is here to boost your power, stability, and coordination. Whether you're superloading and using it to target barbell-centric movements or using it for ballistic weighted plyometrics for more sport-specific purposes, the Tsunami Bar has you covered. Our patented and flexible barbell technology is designed to help you improve in all things human performance. Discover the difference at Tsunami Bar Sports today. Visit tsunamisports.com to learn more. Use CANBY10 for 10% off of any Tsunami Bar product, or pause the screen and use the QR code. Now back to the show. All right, that was a good time to go back to good time for an ad. So Justin, we fixed his mic.
We're back.
So yeah, I think you have to have blocks in it. So I think when warmer weather or when I figure out kind of my next competition, I think that's definitely what I'm gonna go to. Let's say, hey Nicholas, hey, what's up, bro? Where did you come up with your variation on the barbell thrusters? Oh man, when did I start doing those? I think I kind of mixed it in. I think I saw it might have been some sort of like Olympic training center doing something like that. I think actually, no, it was back in 2021 after I did OSG. I hopped in a CrossFit class. My sister-in-law runs a CrossFit or works as a manager at a CrossFit gym. So she was running a class and the workout was cleans into thrusters. And I worked up to like a heavy clean into a thruster. And then I realized, oh, this is actually like when I started doing them, I'm like, oh, this is a great practice in terms of really like forcing the extension all the way upwards. And then you have to squeeze your glutes and like finish your head through. So then I'm like, I could just do this on blocks and I think this would carry over. So I kind of start incorporating that. So it was probably late 2021 and it was because of hopped into a CrossFit class. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Speaking of, do you think that Olympic lifting, like people who compete in strongman, should like do some forms of Olympic lifting?
Yes, but I think they should do all forms of all different lifting. So I think I think my background is, of course, strongman is my expertise. I'm a proficient bodybuilder. I'm a proficient powerlifter, and I'm a proficient Olympic lifter. And I think mixing all four of those is what makes me the strength athlete as I am. So I think everybody should have some sort of influence. I got lucky. Like I was telling my seminar, a lot of my techniques came from 3 Russian coaches I had in the area of Boston back in 2013 to like 2015. I went to see religiously. In the same time I was competing in strongman. So I took all those concepts of being a good Olympic lifter into strongman pressing, and of course made a huge difference. And then I was working out at a powerlifting gym, so learning good technique in terms of the squat, working on the deadlift, but also it was a multiply focused gym. So I learned how to get into the suit, use the suit to its maximum ability. And then we look at bodybuilding. At some point you really have to work on hypertrophy. I got away from it back in 2019. I got back into it because of Terry. Terry's a huge proponent of doing a lot of hypertrophy movements. Yeah. Because I was just doing pretty much too much event training and too much strength training. So to answer your question, I think, yes, some people should have like blocks or a focus, or you run a program focusing on Olympic lifting, but you should also carry out the other 3 or the other 2 main sports. Yeah. Should you do CrossFit? CrossFit's almost like a lighter strongman, but maybe good conditioning. But if you're lacking in CrossFit, I think it makes sense. But for what we're doing, I think is important. But that's a great question.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. It's also, do you think it's important to work on the things that you suck at?
Absolutely, because you have to be a well-rounded athlete. So of course, I've been working on my throwing. I need to get some throwing bags for my own setup. It's going to wear a slack. Where else do I kind of slack? I guess I didn't do too well on the nickel stone rings.
Those suck though.
Yeah, so those are not coming back. So do I need to put too much time in? I'm not sure, but it wasn't too much of my grip because traditionally I've been pretty good at that, but just like that's a really like hook grip and pain. Yeah. And then even at the worlds, the rings were different, where they were almost set up to be like if you just were good farmers. And I just didn't train any farmers. I was just focusing on like how well I could hook grip the rings. So I'm glad those are kind of moving on.
Yeah.
Truck pull is probably one of my favorites, very quad dominant thing. So I hope those come back, but it's always a different thing. What would you like to come back? What's an event that you think would be a great event?
I do like truck pulls.
You love arm over arm.
Arm over arm. Yeah. No, I don't like it. I hate it.
But you're good at it.
I'm good at it. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I like it.
But what's like one event, maybe like old school event?
Oh man.
You ever done a finger?
Yeah.
You like fingers?
I like fingers. Another one that I don't like, but I'm good at, so I like it.
Nice.
Yeah, because I actually got really excited at Clash the second year when the beach thing didn't work out and they subbed for fingers.
Oh yes.
Because I won that event, and it was. I don't remember. It was that, and we didn't do the keg toss or something.
Yes.
And I was really relieved because I was going to suck at the keg toss.
So that kind of propelled you into the finals.
Yes. Was that? Yeah, that was a qualifying event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring back truck pull.
Plane pull. Oh, I thought that said
a plane pull. That would be pretty cool. Pull, yeah, definitely at Worlds. I did like always appreciating the back in the old Worlds where they go to like different locations and do a certain event, right?
Yeah.
Like last year we were just all in one spot, but having the tent and kind of like the fans and the continuity was pretty cool. But I do like kind of that one-offs in terms of like going somewhere exotic or going to a place and going absolute kind of balls out just on a particular event. I personally always say I want sumo lifting back. Sumo wrestling.
Sumo wrestling?
Yeah, back into.
That'd be kind of cool. Or like Moss wrestling?
No.
Moss? No.
I was never a huge fan of that because that's like.
I don't know. I've never done it. Yeah. I don't know. I always favor like medleys though. So like some of the events.
The Rogue would have been good.
The Rogue, yeah. So like I'm always in favor like when I see medleys at a competition over static stuff. I'm just like, cool.
How long you think the 105s will be at the Rogue?
Ooh, I don't know. It'll be a while.
I think it might be like take a few years, but we were talking about one of the questions at the Q&A today was about like could the 105 scene ever kind of catch up to the heavyweight scene, and it's going to take full-time 105 strongman and personalities and characters in order to do that. But like for instance, like someone like myself bumping up the heavyweight didn't help.
Yeah.
So I think it's super important to.
That means Lynn needs to make the payout more so that people who win can make a living off of this.
I think yeah. I would like to see 105s get their own World's Strongest Man. We had our own World's Strongest Man in 2016. In 2015, it was hosted by SCL, and they had 105s and 90s. 2014, there wasn't any World's Strongest Man. In 2013, World's Strongest Man it was 12 guys out in the Ukraine, and they competed in their own show, and it was on Eurosports, and Colin Bryce was the head commentator.
But I think it'd be hard too because like something like the Rogue, right? So you have the heavyweight men and the heavyweight women, and so you have like on the men's side, you have like giant dudes doing, way heavier stuff than what the 105s are going to be doing. So then you just take out smaller guys lifting less impressive stuff, Yeah. And then you got the CrossFitters who are, the top CrossFitters are pretty strong. Pretty good.
It is true.
So we're just like 105s are like kind of in the middle where we're like not as athletic as the CrossFitters and we're not as strong as the heavyweights. And it's like,
But there's a space for it. And I think it needs to be highlighted. One day, that's when people talk to me like what I want to do with the sport, I want to have my own. I always talked about having it called like the Boston Invitational and have like different events across Boston, and that it would be like a 105 centric show.
Clash in the City.
A Clash in the City, maybe. Very potential. All right, let's go back to Mr. Gonzalez. Shaw Classic expanded to the 231s, and it seemed like America's Strongest is paying out more. Yeah, absolutely. I think even with, this past year was $5,000 for the winner. It's been more in the past, but still that was the highest. But was cool about America's Strongest Man this year. It got the most streams ever for a show. We got over 300,000 views through Mr. Miskiff. Did I tell you that's not Miskiff in Vegas?
Oh, really?
Yeah, at like 12 a.m. in the morning, he was just walking through the area, and I was like, "That's Miskiff," and I yelled out. We chatted a little bit. He wanted me to gamble, but I was pretty tired. We just came back from David Spade and Nikki Glazer.
Oh, how was that?
It's all right. Nikki Glazer's better at roasting people than she is in their stand-up. She's kind of just like, "Oh, I'm a big whore," and that's like kind of her stick.
Yeah.
So that was pretty tough. But we said we were around 45 minutes. We're a little over. but one of my favorites, and you probably know this, but got any pet peeves? You got anything that grinds your gears lately about either Instagram, lifting culture, strongman scene, or anything that just rubs your feathers the wrong way? I'm not calling you a bird, but just like feathers.
If we're talking, I guess if we're sticking on this strongman topic, people that you get close to a competition and they start pulling out their injury excuses. Like I, got a bum hammy, or I did this, or I did that. And, it's like, and maybe they're just putting it out there. I don't know. But of like already like pre-building in excuses for like, if they don't do well,
it's because of that.
Then it's like, oh, well, I was injured coming into this. Or if they do really well, or if they win, they're like, wow, I was injured and I beat all of you.
But I feel like part of training and strongman, because we're trying to push how strong we are. You don't want to, if you undertrain, you're going to stay healthy, but then you won't be strong. But if you overtrain, you accumulate injuries. So have a strongman is how healthy you can be at pushing the biggest weight. So it's almost a game of how strong and healthy you can be. So I feel like people that are using those excuses went too far in excess in terms of not programming to the best abilities.
Sure.
But yeah. Who did that? I think it was Brian Shaw before his last World's Strongest Man. He came out with saying he had a big leg injury, and that's why he wasn't going to be.
Didn't he tear his hammy? Or wasn't that like when he went to the hospital and they were going to have to they had drained a bunch of fluid or something?
They did, yeah. And that's
that's a pretty legit.
That's legit.
Maybe I don't know.
Am I being too hard on Brian Shaw? So I stopped picking on the 4-time.
No, I don't know. I think there's a line. There's definitely a line there with if it's something that like medically puts you in the hospital kind of thing. I don't know.
You know who never made excuses? You know who never made excuses? Sojournas, because Sojournas is the GOAT. He's number one. He makes strongman very good and happy. Yes, that's kind of my Sojournas impression.
If there was a wall in front of us, I would just guess it was him.
Mr. Gonzalez, he's hot with these questions. Let's do it. Do you think if they added a middleweight, they could do the same for the women? So Sam and Melissa stack up a bit more too. Yeah, absolutely. I think absolutely. Then you have someone like Aaron Murray, but it would be Aaron Murray would fit into that class. Nadia Stowers would fit into that, and then there's a whole slew. There's probably 3 or 4 other women that we can probably include there.
Or we all just go heavyweight.
Or we all go heavyweight.
Everybody just goes heavyweight.
That's a good point. But I think I would love to see even if it's the Rogue, the Arnold, World's Strongest Man, that the top 105 gets a shot to compete with those guys. Because I think even with a good prep, they could be very competitive. Huh?
They did, and they didn't fuck that.
Oh, really? Okay. So
Arnold, when they did the Arnold series and Mr. Infamous
105
title went and bombed.
Yeah, so but hopefully they do it again. They give at least 105 another shot. I
do think that would be cool.
But we're wrapping up towards the end of the show. We're over 45 minutes. And Justin's a very busy man. But when everything's said and done, Justin, what are you looking to achieve in the world of strongman and in life?
I don't know. I mean, win OSG would be really cool. So that, and then in life, eventually get a trailer in the woods.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many acres?
I don't know, like 20.
Would you booby trap it so the government couldn't bother you?
No. I just want a trailer in the woods. Real simple.
What kind of trailer?
Just like a, I don't know, like a metal sided trailer.
Would you have a gym out there?
Single wide? No. Quit working out. I just live in a trailer in the woods.
Just be left alone?
Yep.
That's what Justin aspires to. But it was a good podcast. We had a great day at BG. We lifted a lot of big weights. If you guys are down in the Kentucky area, come to BG Strength. It's plenty of great equipment. They got a Slater log. They got a bunch of great axles. Another great podcast. Thank you, Joseph. You're very positive.
Thanks.
Yes. And Joseph, if you keep up the good work, maybe we'll have you on the podcast one day. That's right. But Justin, thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You've been hosting me. You've been feeding me.
Of course.
You're a great
big boy.
friend.
You're a big grown boy.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you for coming too. Coming and doing a seminar here. It was great.
Well, it's always great to catch up.
It's good to see you.
So let's leave the listeners with one last piece of advice. So what was the last thing you want to leave the listeners?
Oh, man.
And everybody that listens to this on the recorded. And so don't worry, guys. I'm going to put this on Spotify and everything too, so you can listen to it And you don't have to listen to just on YouTube.
Don't give up trying to achieve your goals. And I know that's pretty vague, but a lot of times, like, you get discouraged or something happens or whatever, and you kind of lose sight and you just kind of say, screw it. But if those are really your goals and you really want to achieve them, like, find a way to make it work.
I like it. Well, no one ever became great just by not making mistakes, right?
Right. We all fuck up.
There we go. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time, everybody, stay strong. Yeah, let's flex. Yeah, flex. Yeah, flex. And we did it.
Yay.